and welcome to another episode of The Hive Mind. My name's John Orzov Dunn, known by some, and this is the show where I traverse the multiverse in search of other prominent members in the Magic the Gathering community, whether that be other YouTubers, content creators, whoever you guys like to hear from, that's who I try to bother. So, today I have an extremely special guest, fresh right back from the Pro Tour, from Brainstorm Brewery. I have Corbin Hosler. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. How's it going?
Oh, perfect. And you're planeswalking in from Oklahoma, correct?
Oh, that's right, Oklahoma City.
Oh, nice. So we probably have the same kind of weather pattern. I'm in Vegas, and I'm sweating already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's warm. It's actually like doing its tornado thing because it's Oklahoma in May, you know. So hopefully none of that comes down while we record here.
Oh man, and Corbin has been brave enough to join me on a nice beer edition. You know how I love these, and I'm drinking an Elysian Super Fuzz Blood Orange Pale Ale, basically an IPA. What do you got, buddy?
That one sounds great. I have a Shiner White Wing Belgian White, and I've got one chilling in the fridge here to pick up in a little while. Imported in from Germany. Nice Hefeweizen. So we talked about beer before the show. Nice to talk to a fellow beer nerd. Get any chance I get.
Absolutely, sir. If you're ever in Vegas, and I don't know if you're coming to GP Vegas or not, but I'll give you the tour de brewery of the Las Vegas local beer scene.
Yeah, I'll be in Vegas, but I'm going to be working the show for Channel Fireball.
Wow.
So everyone's like, God, these awesome things in Vegas. I'm like, I know, I have to work.
Yeah. Right. All right, sir. Well, all beer geek news aside, you guys have come here for the cardboard. So, sir, as we start off each and every episode, I would like to know, what is your Magic origin story?
Yeah, well, I'll keep it brief. The first time I ever encountered Magic, I was probably about 10 years old playing Pokemon, and I went into a store to look at their Pokemon cards, and I saw some guys in the corner playing Magic, and I thought, God, those are nerds. That's a Titanic game. And then I left, and I didn't look at Magic again for a decade. So,
wow.
And I got into college, and I had some friends teach me to play, and I was hooked within, like a week. They were kitchen table casual players, and as soon as I learned that the internet existed and I could figure out how the rules actually worked, I was hooked. So I jumped in around, my first real set was Shards of Alara block, which was, I guess, about 8 years ago now, maybe 9. Tried to do the competitive thing for a little while, had a little bit of success. Never quite got to the PT. I top 32 to Grand Prix. I got second in the PTQ finals, top 8 at an Open, and realized somewhere along the way that maybe competitive Magic wasn't for me, right? I was okay, I was fine, but I didn't have the money to travel a lot, and it wasn't necessarily what appealed to me. What did appeal to me was trying to get on coverage, because I graduated from college in 2011 with a mass communications degree in journalism, and I went to work at a newspaper doing sports writing, covering college sports here at the University of Oklahoma, and that was great, except for, all the hours we work a million nights and weekends. And I thought, it's really cool if I could just, I can't go to Friday Night Magic because I'm going to football games instead, but what if I was just to do this for Magic? So I made my goal to get onto the coverage team for Wizards of the Coast, and worked on that for several years until I finally got there, and now it's more or less what I do full time. I left the newspaper a few years ago, and I'm all in on Magic.
Man, that is absolutely incredible. So, and then kind of your first, what kind of came first, your podcasting or joining WotC coverage team?
I think the podcast came first, because it would have been, I think, 2011 that we started the podcast, maybe early 2012. Somebody on Twitter just said, what would be great? At the time I was writing for Quiet Speculation. I kind of got my start in writing in Magic Finance, and I was writing for Quiet Speculation, and somebody said, hey, we need a finance podcast. These people would be good. And they tagged me and myself and Ryan Bouchard and Marcel, who had just had gotten off another podcast and was looking to start something. We just kind of got hooked up through Twitter. None of us knew each other. Recorded. It was I'm sure the first couple episodes were horrendous. I haven't gone back and listened to them in years. But we got in on that, and that was 5-6 years ago. We've been going strong ever since. And I got on coverage. My first official job was Grand Prix Oklahoma City in 2013. I volunteered to sort of get a tryout, and they thought I didn't suck, so I got a shot in 2014, a year later, at a Grand Prix for real. Did all right, and then just sort of jumped into it, all the way, and then 2015 I started doing it full time.
Excellent. So yeah, and speaking of Quiet Speculation, Chaz has been on the show. I'm actually become pretty good friends with Chaz from Quiet Speculation. And you said that you guys kind of all met together, and I used to listen to you guys from kind of the very beginning. At work, it was a good listen, and you guys were jabbing away at the very beginning. So I'm surprised to hear that you guys just met 5 years ago.
Yeah, and we did some number. Man, we did a lot of podcasts before we'd even met in person. Like Jason Alt came on, I think, around episode 8 as a guest and never left. And then Gen Con, all I know is there was the Gen Con where the United States got bonfired. Mm-hmm. The famous GIF where Luis and Kibler are sitting there and their opponents peel the bonfire off the top and get them with it, right? I was sitting right there for that. Go.
Thank you.
So it was at Gen Con. That was the first time we all met in person after probably 20-30 episodes or something.
Nice. And you say you didn't get to travel kind of as a pro player, but I'm guessing that you get to travel with WotC now.
Yes, yeah, I'm all over the place now. It's an interesting life. I was at the Pro Tour last week. Got home on Monday. We're recording here on Tuesday night, and I'll be on the plane again Friday morning to go to Montreal. So,
woo! Wow.
So, it's up and down, right? Everyone says, "Oh, you get to travel. That's great."
Yeah.
And it is. I see a lot of convention centers.
Yeah.
It's I can tell you all about the best convention centers and the best airports in the United States. But
sure.
Now, sometimes it is good, and sometimes it's great. I had a trip to Hawaii last year. I was able to take a few days. I'm going to France for the World Magic Cup this year, so there are definitely some perks.
Absolutely, yeah. My favorite airport so far is the one in Denver, and that's about it. Just because it looks pretty cool. But yeah, so let's jump in kind of more into the background and the genesis of the Brainstorm Brewery podcast. You guys kind of all met up through Twitter and stuff. Just kind of go through the people that have been on there, the group you have on now.
Yeah, so like I said, the original crew was myself, Ryan, and Marcel, and that was the cast for a month or two, and then Jason came on as a friend of Ryan's, and that's when we really hit our stride, because Jason, for people who don't know him, is I would say he pushes buttons, to put it lightly, right? That's what he does. But it's fun, right? And it brought the dynamic to the cast that we're sort of known for. We're able to mix finance knowledge and knowledge of the game, and I have a lot of knowledge now of the pro scene and what's going on, and we're able to sort of blend that with guys hanging out, having a good time, and I think that mix that has enabled us to be successful for so long.
Absolutely.
And it makes it fun for us. It's not easy, as I'm sure it's not easy to sit down every week and commit to doing something for an hour and a half, and putting the time in and before and afterwards to make it all work. And it can really be a grind. And there's no monetary gain out of it. Anything we've ever made off the cast, we put right back into equipment, that sort of stuff. So it's just sort of something you do. You have to love what you do, and that's the fact that we're just friends hanging out happens to really go a long way. So we podcasted, the four of us, for probably 4 years, and then right around the same time, Marcel had a baby, Jason had a baby, I had a baby, all within about 3 months of each other, 4 months of each other, and Ryan, around that same time, started working for however in the United States. So we all just went through these major life changes at the same time, and we really had a lot of discussions. Do we shut down the podcast because the podcast is the four of us, and if we're not together doing it, do we really want to do something called Brainstorm Brewery? And in the end, we decided that basically the fans, so many people listen to the cast, come up to me at events and introduce themselves and say they like it and want, a playmat signed or something like that, that I felt like, it's certainly difficult having a kid and trying to do all this every week, but it's worth it. And that's why we decided we're going to do what we can do and try to move it along. So we added Jason Knight, when Marcel and Ryan stepped away, added Douglas Johnson, who had originally got his start writing for BrainstormBrewery.com when we were running articles there. And he was one of the original winners of the Gamers Helping Gamers Scholarship that John Finkel and a lot of other Magic big names and pros have been speaking on. And he's sort of, been coming up in the New York area, starting his own TCG player store and all of that. And so it's now the three of us on with frequent guests, and somehow 5-6 years later, however long it's been, we're still somehow going strong.
That's excellent, man. So tell me a little bit about going from the podcast, and by the way, I listened to the Marcel's kind of send off episode. I was like, what the hell is this? I was like so sad. Yeah. Like, people were walking into work just like, what are you doing? I'm just like, nothing, just go away.
It was a big deal, man. It was we all went through a lot of life changes really quick.
He was like,
and we still talk, right? I mean, we have our, we want to have Marcel and Ryan back on the cast, and we have had them once or twice on there and have more plans for the future. But even though we're not able all to cast together and make our schedules work, we still have a group text where we're all in, regular communication, and hopefully we'll get a chance to hang out again in Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just kind of the nice, soothing, calm voice of the ragtag group, right?
It was definitely the secret sauce that made it work, so to speak, right?
But okay, so tell me a little bit about your transitioning into the YouTubes.
Yeah, long story short is, it's not even that long of a story. I realize that YouTube is sort of where things are at now. That's where things are going. When I started in Magic, people were glued to the computers for articles every week, and there was no such thing as YouTube content. And heck, there weren't even most people didn't have smartphones. You couldn't even look at card prices on your phone, sort of thing, right? So, over the years, I sort of realized that I wanted to break out of the sort of the finance niche, so to speak. I worked finance at a lot of different places, and realized I just kind of wanted to do more. And I played a lot of Modern. It was my favorite format, so I essentially, through people I met through coverage at TCG Player, was able to be given an opportunity there to see if we could work something out. So I just pitched the idea of mining Modern, and what it is the premise is pretty simple. I'm not Craig Wesco, I'm not Brian Browndew, and I'm not any of these really great pro players who write for TCG Player. I can't do what they can do. But what I can do is talk a lot, because I've been podcasting for so long, and I used to have a radio show when I doing sports here in Oklahoma, and I could make that happen. So I said, I'm not going to try to be the best Jund player out there and give you the videos you have to watch to be a great Jund player. I'm going to play the Tier 2 deck that maybe somebody shows up definite with. And it's worked out really well. There's been, I've been doing it now for just over a year, making weekly videos for YouTube, and the response has been really good. People enjoy it, and there's a ton of demand for content on YouTube. I mean, it's probably the fastest growing segment of Magic, of readership or viewership that there is, and it's really been great. Honestly, I mean, that opens up to a whole new audience that you want to get, people who can't sit there, work, and read something, but maybe they can get on YouTube or watch something, and that's sort of how it worked out. And I'm really happy now to be on YouTube. I have my own channel, it's Seahouser88, that I do some extra content on and make some videos for it. I'm just kind of dipping my toes in the water right now outside of my weekly content, but it's really been a great experience, and I've met a lot of people through sort of the Magic YouTube community, and it's been really good.
Yeah, and what a perfect marriage right now of YouTube and Twitter. It's like one thing couldn't happen without the other at this point.
Right.
But and there is such, you mentioned like YouTube's kind of the place to be with Magic content right now. There is such like a plethora, and it just seems like maybe it started October, like it just started springing up. You saw Magic content creators, boom, 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 boom. So it's real noisy out there, but once you kind of get to like the meat of the stuff, there's some excellent stuff out there, and the more the better. I'm not saying it's all crap. I'm saying that there's great stuff, and if you have a message, go out and say it, and there definitely is some great messages out there. Yeah,
I missed the boat entirely on Twitch. Right,
me too.
I thought I was I thought I was hip and cool and up with the times, and this little thing called Justin TV became the biggest thing in the world, and I was just nowhere on it, right? And then I was like, YouTube is happening. I'm going to try not to make the same mistake twice and get out there, but it really is great seeing all the. And I think one of the big things is that Wizards of the Coast has recognized the YouTube community and began to especially over the past year, reach out and include them. You have stuff like the Community Super League that features YouTubers very heavily. You have them, being featured at the Grand Prix. I did a thing at Grand Prix San Antonio where I was covering it, and it was a big event that Manus for Central Area Community College made it out to, and I made sure that we featured them in the Pro Tour feed because as much as sort of the competitive crowd and all the people in want to pretend that this is what Magic is, it's the Pro Tour, it's the Grand Prix, it's about that value. It's not. It's about people having fun playing Magic at their kitchen table or at their local gaming store, and you can make so much content for those people that isn't just the top level of competitive play, and that's what YouTube has really been great about, and Wizards has finally sort of recognized that and began to extend some resources and hand out to them.
Absolutely, and just to kind of shamelessly plug something kind of cool happened today. Myself and the Card Bazaar are co-promoting a community cup. It's actually 1v1 Commander, and we have some great competitors in the league, such as Nizahon Magic and Rogue Deck Builder, and some really great YouTube community people. And it just got featured on the SCG show today. Split Second.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was just really cool. So I wouldn't plug something of my own on my own show because I'm not that classy, but you did mention the Super League, so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But yeah,
well, that's awesome because the Community Cup was sort of Wizards' olive branch to maybe the non-pro scene for so long, and then there was no Community Cup last year. I don't know if there are any plans to have it this year. Yeah. So anything that sort of exists in that space that is done by the community is great.
Yeah, and we just wanted, to get these kind of middle channels out there more. Rogue Deck Builder's been around, and he's a Pro Tour, ex-Pro Tour competitor and stuff like that. But
right.
It is an absolute great thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So going back to just kind of playing, you said that Modern is kind of your jam. Is that your favorite format still, or?
Yes, absolutely. Merfolk's my thing.
Nice.
Ever since the first time I ever played a Legacy event, I wasn't even gonna go, and it was back when SCG was doing opens on Saturday and Sunday, one Standard, one Legacy, and he wanted me to drive to Kansas City with them from Oklahoma City on Saturday night. To go play Legacy. It's like a 6-hour drive. And I was like, I don't have a Legacy deck. I don't know anything about this. I was pretty new to Magic. And he's like, well, I got you, and I'll take care of it all. I just need someone in the car with me. And he had Merfolk and he had Goblins. Or he had Zoo, I believe. It was Zoo and Merfolk. He said, I'm going to play one of them, and you can have the other. So he played Zoo. I don't know how he did. Not, whatever. Yeah. I played my first ever Legacy tournament with this Merfolk deck I was loaned. I made it to the finals. It split the finals of the tournament. And I was the whole day, I was just like, somebody would play a Tundra, and I'd be like, which one is that? What colors does that make? And I wasn't even trolling. I just had no idea. So from that moment on, Merfolk was my thing, right?
Yeah.
And Merfolk was really good in Legacy for a while, and it sort of died when they printed Middle Misstep and then Stoneforge, etc. All that happened, and Merfolk kind of died in Legacy. But then they created Modern, and Modern was announced. Actually, Overextended was a community project done by Gavin Verhage back before he worked at Wizards of the Coast, and it was basically a non-rotating format, essentially like Modern, except I think it went back to Onslaught. And I was playing Merfolk in that, just like on Magic Workstation right at the time, which was the cockatrice of the day. Right. And I was just having fun with it. And then Wizards announced Modern, and it would be this board from, the announcement comes out at midnight, and at 12:01 I had my Merfolk list fired up and ready to go. So nice. that was my thing. And I float off the deck and paper. It's my favorite. Wow. It's I love it. I have a for it, so I play all the Modern I can, and I eventually after playing the same deck for so many years, I began to venture into other stuff, and that's sort of how the idea for Mighty Modern came about. Is I have the decks I have built in Modern, I have like 5 decks, but I have Merfolk and Living End and my own brew of like this Primeval Titan Summoning Trap Emrakul deck, Through the Breach, just sort of my own stuff, and I experimented a lot, and that was where the idea of Mighty Modern came from, is exploring. There's so many rogue brews in Modern. You can It's how Legacy used to be. You could play the idea that you can show up with your deck on any given weekend, and if you know your deck and you know the matchups well, you can do well, and that's how you have something like Spread Red come out of nowhere and win a Grand Prix. And that having that as a gameplay, as a factor that you can commit to a deck and learn it and find that success is the reason I love Modern. And Legacy, with Miracles over the past few years has not been that the way it used to be, but Modern fills that niche perfectly. So I love it. I play Modern every week. I record with it every week. I play all the Modern I can.
So Legacy might be that way now since the last ban restricted update.
It could be. It's hard because without going too deep in my theories on Legacy or whatever, the format really homogenized after Deathrite Shaman got printed because it just did everything. Yeah. Decks that were weak to Wasteland were no longer weak to Wasteland because they had Deathrite Shaman. Aggro decks would get hosted by Deathrite. It is, the card did so much. So between that and Miracles becoming just this tuned deck that was just always the top of the metagame, it really sort of took away some of the freedom of Legacy, and I really hope that it comes back now that that Miracles finally been killed off.
Yeah, and speaking of the fish deck, did you get a chance to sling some blue Mirfolk when what was it? Mono blue Devotion was running rampant.
Standard, yeah. I didn't play a ton of Standard, but I did play some Mono blue Devotion.
Like, yes!
Yeah, what I always say about Merfolk is, because I'm not even necessarily a blue player, like I'll play blue and I like to play combo decks, but I'm not a hardcore control player. I like to play mid-range green decks, and I always tell people Merfolk's the best green deck there is. You play the little guys and you attack.
You're not wrong.
It's not, yeah. you want just enough interaction and a clock, and it's just an awesome mid-range green deck. So Mono Blue Devotion felt very similar. You want to curve out and interact just a little. So that was a good time in Standard. We haven't had very many good times in Standard since then.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. No, last week at least was better. Zombies winning the Pro Tour, I think, is great.
How cool is that? I was flipping out when I saw that because I've been trying to make zombies happen. I do a lot of Walking Dead stuff, so I'm a big zombie guy. Yeah. And so I even try to make. I have a zombie modern deck. It's not terrible. I mean it keeps up at FNM, but it's not great. But yeah, I mean zombies winning the Pro Tour, and especially like we saw Black White. We saw I don't know if there was any Esper at the Pro Tour, but definitely you see that at some of the FNM tables, which is just crazy. Yeah. And then now there's Aetherworth Marvel again. So there is a Boogeyman. So which one of these two, and this is kind of jumping the gun because I want to get more into the Pro Tour, but which one of those two decks do you see going forward being the strongest?
Well, Frank Carson, the Hall of Fame Magic player, is like a PhD in math. He's a genius, right?
Yeah.
So I worked with him last week at the PT, and my niche is I do the human interest pieces. And I wrote my favorite thing last weekend that I wrote was a really big feature on Brad Nelson, whose father and grandmother came out to the tournament.
Wow.
And Brad and his brother Corey Baumeister were playing, and I was able to write about their family, and it was really cool. But that's what Frank does magic. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a genius. So he did, I think, probably the best statistical breakdown that we've ever had at the Pro Tour. So you not only do you have the metagame breakdown, where you know how many decks are in each deck have shown up, and how well they convert to day 2, but he actually did a matrix of this variant of this deck has these win percentages against each other deck. So it's really, really great statistical breakdown, and what came out of that was that Zombies won, but it was the third top performing deck with the weekend. Temur Aetherworks with Chandra was the top performing deck. Temur Aetherworks with Torrential Gearhulk was second, and then Mono Black Zombies was third. So I think coming out of the weekend, Zombies is the big winner, but it's definitely playing second fiddle to Aetherworks.
Yeah.
In terms of that deck can go so many ways. The Torrential Gearhulk versions that have a lot of spells and control elements, way different than the Chandra Flamecaller versions, which are better situated against zombies because they can play Chandra and Wrath the board.
Sure.
I think Temur Aetherworks coming out of the tournament is definitely. Hopefully it's beatable. I mean, Manglehorn exists. That card's really good against it. It's before where we had Mardu and Copycat, you couldn't beat one of those and beat the other. and that's why it evolved into such a stale metagame. But you can design decks to beat both zombies and Aetherworks. So I think that Standard coming out of it is, I already see people, and this is the danger of bannings. I already see people talking about we need to ban Marvel.
I know, it's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah. As soon as they ban something, but that's the position they put themselves in, and that's the danger of banning cards. Is now there's no confidence that you can buy a Marvel deck because maybe it'll be banned 4 weeks from now, right? But I don't think so. I think it would take a lot for that to happen. The deck, I think, is beatable. There's a lot of cards that are good against it. So
and there's variance
where things go.
I think there's more variance to a card like Aetherwork Marvel than there was to Smuggler's Copter. So it kind of justifies a little bit because there is a somewhat of a coin flip, even though you could kind of manipulate that in the way that Miracles kind of did. But I think it's definitely a little more forgiving, and I think WotC likes those high variance cards to show up and be good every once in a while.
Yeah, it's a weird balance because, obviously if you get turn 4 Ulamog 2 games in a row, right, you just want to quit. That's terrible. That's not a good experience.
Let's ban Ulamog.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the deck just misses those. Sometimes they just don't find their Ulamogs, or they draw 3 Ulamogs. Or Ray Perez Jr. is a good friend of mine. Was playing in the last round of the PT, and he drew all 4 Ulamogs in the first 6 turns. He had 1 in his opening hand or something, and then drew his next 3 on his next 5 draw steps. And it's just like, well, I guess my deck doesn't do anything now. So, it's a hard line because the variance of something like Marvel can be very good. But if it's too good or too swingy, it doesn't necessarily lead to fun gameplay where you do just feel like you're flipping coins.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was nice to see that the new Nisa, I like to call her Smart Nisa. I don't know if that's politically correct, but whatever. But good to see Smart Nisa seeing some play because I was flipping out about that card when that was spoiled, the X Planeswalker, and it was so cheap. You could play her on 1 and it's okay. You could play her on 6 and you're probably winning. I've never seen a card like that, and I'm just like, everyone's like, oh, whatever. I'm like, no, this is elf ball. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the best designed Planeswalkers I think that we've seen in a long time. I mean, you look at something like Obnixilis, and that's basically the baseline for a whole bunch of Planeswalkers, where the moderate loyalty, moderate casting cost comes into play, minus for removal, plus for card advantage, ultimate that does something good, right? But Nissa is just actually this really cool design that plays within itself and has a bunch of options and has a flexibility to it that makes the card a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll see where it goes. One of the big things with Standard that's really difficult right now, and it goes back to Aetherworks, is the rotation change.
Yeah. Because
when these sets were designed, Standard was supposed to be an 18-month rotation. We're rotated twice a year. Cards would only be legal for 18 months. So Eldrazi and Aetherworks Marvel were only supposed to be together for 6 months. And we're supposed to have 6 months of Innistrad zombies with Amonkhet zombies, and then it'll rotate. Instead, when you add to that, now all of a sudden, no one would be saying let's ban Marvel if it was going to rotate in 4 months or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But now that everything's legal for so much longer, not only does it make stuff like that feel worse, but also Wizards just hadn't tested it. They had no idea. And so you look at something like Copycat, and they miss Copycat. But that whole metagame in general, they stopped publishing their future league deck lists because they were just so inaccurate because they didn't have any of the cards. So that rotation change has really messed with Standard. And I think we're in a good spot coming out of the Pro Tour, but Wizards doesn't know where this is going. They didn't test any of this right now, so we'll see.
So that brings up an interesting point. So we weren't that far removed from Innistrad block with Return to Ravnica. That was, in my opinion, my favorite Standard of all time. Even when Innistrad rotated out and we went to Theros, it was still it was a great Standard. I liked it. A lot of that's kind of controversial because a lot of people didn't like all the devotion decks. I did, and I thought that the Gods thing was cool and all that, but. How are we're not that far removed from that, and now we're back almost into Mirrodin block? Is it just because of the rotation?
You're talking about just in terms of Standard being good or fun?
Well, just broken. I mean, Standard has not been broken since Mirrodin, or actually Cobblade and Jace, but
Worldway.
Yeah,
right?
Worldway for sure. But I think there's a lot that's going on. I think that somewhere along the line, development
became less about we need to figure out what standard will look like, and became more about we need to just ensure that the mechanics are fun. And I think that somewhere along the line, the ability to find the broken things just decreases there for whatever reason.
Sure.
And that's how something like Copycat slips through the cracks, and they admitted they didn't even see that interaction, which is just inexcusable.
Absolutely.
Given Splunch. When there's literally a number of keywords you can plug into a Control F search through the cards in Standard to figure out if that works.
Yep.
And I think that they've learned a lot from it, and I'd like to think that they have some processes in place that this won't be the case anymore. But it's hard to say, because the thing that we didn't have even in Mirrodin, we didn't have it in Woodwake, we didn't, honestly, to the extent we have now, we didn't even have in Innistrad, is the data.
Okay.
So the easiest way to illustrate this is I played Splinter Twin at SCG Invitational when New Phyrexia came out, and it was the second came out release. The next weekend there was a PTQ where Mike Flores, a friend of his or something, top aided with the Splinter Twin list. I saw it through the grapevine, got a hold of that list, took it to an SCG Invitational the next week, and this is an invitational. There's $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever to first place. It was a huge deal, and I went 8-1 or 7-1 on day one. I ended up top 16 in the event. But people, even late in day one, when I'm 6-0, didn't know what I was doing. They'd be on the play, and they'd play Jace on turn 4, and they're like, yeah, it got through a counter spell, I won the Jace war, I'm going to win the game. So that's how it had worked. And I'd be like, okay, well, I have this Deceiver Exarch and here's my Splinter Twin, and no, you're dead. And that's 7-0 at a big tournament with a lot of money on the line. Compare that to, and that's how it used to be. Compare that to, when Copycat, when Fellow Dark Guardian was released, the entire deck list was, before the set had even finished being spoiled, the entire deck was out there.
Absolutely.
And people showed up on week 1 playing it. And then you add in the proliferation of Magic Online lists and the better ways of tracking those deck lists and disseminating on the information, the more statistical approach that pro teams take these days, where there's so much big data out there. All of that is what leads to a standard where you have to ban stuff. It's all a problem, but like I said, I think that story just illustrates how far it's changed, how drastically it's changed just in the past 5 years. And that's why I thought the 18-month, this every 6-month rotation was really good for Magic, because it kept that from being an issue. But that came with a whole other set of problems where people in other countries couldn't even get the cards in time before they'd be rotating, and even in the United States and Europe, where that isn't an issue, you'd still just feel like your cards were constantly changing and rotating and losing value. So it's a really tough position for Wizards of the Coast, because they obviously had data from when they went to the 6-month rotation that said this isn't what we want. This business-wise, this isn't good for us. But also, it's really bad for them if players can figure out Standard in a month. And there's no way that their testing team, no matter how big they make it, can have the resources that the entire world of Magic can have. So it's a tough situation. I do not envy their position trying to fix Standard.
Absolutely, and historically, just going back to you said you partnered up with Frank Carson to do some data. So I know historically, not too long ago, they kind of shunned a community member, I guess you would call, or a website for putting that data out there. So now WotC's kind of doing it themselves. Is this just kind of to keep up with the times? Yeah,
honestly, to an extent. What they have done is they've tamped down on Magic Online deck lists. They don't release as many. In my opinion, they could go even further and release even fewer. I think it'd be fine. But I know that cease and desisted, or politely asked, however you want to put it, some of the websites that were aggregating Magic Online data.
Right.
But now, I think for event coverage, the Pro Tour is a self-contained tournament, and it sets the tone moving forward. And I think that it is just sort of keeping up with the times. This is what people want, and at sort of a baser level, this is what people want from the Pro Tour, so this is what they're going to click on. So that's what we want to provide.
Yeah.
Because there's value to that. It's the kind of analysis that should be out there from an event like the Pro Tour. Where it gets hard is when it's every single day for Magic Online.
Sure.
If you get that data once a week, that's fine. If you have it every single day for constantly evolving decks, it makes it really, really easy to distill the very best version of the deck.
Yep. And so, Corbin, I definitely listened to the podcast, so I know that you're coming off a pretty big top 8 performance. So you want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it a little brief. That could go very deep on this.
Hey, I'm not going to interrupt you and jab you like the guys. This is your show. You don't have to talk over anyone. It's all you, man.
Yeah, that's what was weird. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm just like talking. It's like, I'm not getting interrupted every 5 seconds. That's weird.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah, that's what I love about Brainstorm Brewery. I'm perfectly happy with our dynamic on that show. People are always like, man, they think we're not friends because Jason's just always mean to everybody, or like we call each other names or whatever. And I'm like, that's the show, man. Like, yeah, that's what it is. No, so I went to DreamHack 2 weeks ago. And for people who
great story, bro. Anyways, no, I'm just joking. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I had to do it once. I had to do it once.
You got me.
Sorry, brother. Go. I swear, I'll shut the hell up. Sorry.
So DreamHack is a giant LAN convention, tournament, essentially. LAN party. It started in like Sweden a decade ago. I walked into the hall. It was in Austin. They just came to the United States last year. I walked into the hall. On one end, there's a giant, we're talking thousands of computers where people can bring their own computers and sit and play games. They have a bunch of computers that are set up free to play if you bought a pass to the show, which is like $100. They have a CSGO tournament where people were playing for like $50,000.
Wow.
They have Smash and Street Fighter tournament where like the best players in the world are there. Like, if anyone follows Smash, Hungrybox, who was won Evo for Super Smash Bros. Melee a year or two ago, was there competing. They had a giant Hearthstone tournament. They had StarCraft 2 tournaments. They had all of this stuff going on. They had all the VR setups, all of this. And then we have Magic. And it's the first time that Magic has been at DreamHack to the extent that it was.
Nice.
It was run by Cascade Games. They had a $10,000 tournament, a 10K on Sunday, that you had to qualify for by going 4-0 and event on Friday or Saturday, or accumulate enough points between events to qualify. So you either qualified for Sunday by going 4-0, or by playing and winning enough that's on Friday and Saturday to get onto the leaderboard, which is in itself a really cool thing, because if you open a crap pool in your first one, whatever, you can just drop and play another event. You're still accumulating points. You're still working towards that $10,000 tournament.
Nice.
So I 4-0'd a 2-out giant event with a friend. So then I get to Sunday, and it's a 64-person 10K where it was 8 draft pods. If you win your draft pod, you advance to the top 8 to draft. And I drafted a pretty sweet green black deck. Had Nest Scarabs, had a Patra, I had a Gideon in my sideboard just cause.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. So I won on my draft pod, and then I made it to the top 8 of the event, and won some cash, won a bunch of prize tickets that I bought board games with. It was really cool, right? It was great for me since I've worked so many events. This was an opportunity, since it was drivable distance, for me to go down there with some friends and actually play Magic again. And it's been, the last Grand Prix I played was 2015. I played Albuquerque. I played like one event. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was 2013. So this was a big deal for me to get to finally to play another tournament, and I did well, and that was great. But I was just so impressed seeing Magic, and they've got a big stage. They've got lights on it, the spotlights. It's up in the middle and in a circle. There's a lot of aesthetic things that made it look really good. And you know what? It fit in. There were people wandering over from Smash Brothers to play in the Mini Masters, right? There were Hearthstone players coming over and learning to play Magic. It did not feel out of place, and that's as esports as it gets, a tournament like that, a convention like that. And it was just so cool to walk in and have that experience and be able to see it all. And the Cascade there's DreamHack coming up, I think next month, DreamHack Denver in the fall. Which would be really cool, and I think that it's a really, really big step for Magic from esports. I know that can inspire a lot of debate, because people talk about whether or not Magic can be an esport when there's, paper cards and all of that. But at some point, it doesn't matter whether or not it's a digital game or a paper game. We were like number 4 on Twitch at the Pro Tour last weekend. I know at some point it topped out over 40,000 viewers, which is huge for Magic. And I think Magic going to something like DreamHack that is, beyond the shadow of a doubt, a major esports thing, is great. So I think that's awesome. At the same time, I had like an I'm old moment. Like 10 years ago, I was like in high school playing Dota with my friends, and someone's like upstairs loft, just like, man, we'd love to go play other people this game. Wouldn't it be cool if there was somewhere we could go? And now I go to DreamHack, and there's like, 2,000 computers set up, and people can play whatever they want. And I'm like, now we're all old and have kids and can't do this.
Right? Yeah.
It's a dream a decade ago.
The LAN parties, right?
Yeah.
So,
Good times, man. What are you supposed to do when you're like, you're that age? If you're into that stuff, you just play Dota until 5 a.m. and drink all the Mountain Dew in the world.
That's it. Mom, order a pizza because we're landing it up, right?
Yeah. Or Hot Pockets.
Or Hot Pockets, absolutely. Or Pizza Pockets for that matter. So we got, so I mean, that's good. You always need those, being involved in the community still, like you are, like I'm trying to be, it's always nice to sit down and actually play with the cardboard every once in a while. It's like that feeling. The other day, I hopped back on a skateboard, 100 pounds later from when I was, skating on a regular basis, before.
That's dangerous, man.
I know, right? With my son, but I felt good because I landed an ollie, and I'm like, yay, So
that's impressive.
Yeah, you gotta have those old guy moments, and that's what kind of keeps us going, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely. I started playing basketball again for the first time in a long time. And it's like I actually feel like at first it was terrible, Now I've been doing it for a few months. It's like I actually feel kind of in shape again. It's like I'm not old and useless.
Yeah, it's not like the me now ate the me 15 years ago. But so I know we've pretty much covered a lot of the Pro Tour Amonkhet. But anything else that kind of stood out to you that you want to share with the group?
Personally, I was very happy to go to Nashville. It's country music capital of the world, and I'm from Oklahoma, so obviously I stereotypically love country music.
Okay, that was crickets. So
yeah, the highlight of the weekend in a non-Magic sense was playing a game with Rich Hagon and Tim Willoughby. Two very British guys. Right. Who are, commentators on the Pro Tour. They come to me and they say, Corbin, they're like real serious. We want to have a competition about who can name the most country music acts, and you're the judge.
No way. No way.
They were really bad.
Nice.
Like, you'd think maybe they get some of the... Surely you get some of the, like, popular ones, right? They got nothing. They're British. They didn't know anything. It was a good time. Everyone was just laughing. They start trying to say, like... they were naming like pop stars. We were like, that's sort of like country, right? And I'm like, no, not even a little bit.
Not at all. Maybe they were partaking a little bit, as we are. Who knows? You don't need to confirm or deny that. Okay, so Corbin, this is the time of the episode where we face the Gauntlet of Power.
I don't know if I'm ready, man.
Oh, man. So this is the segment where I ask 8 rapid-fire questions, and Corbin has to kind of word vomit back at me what I throw at him. So I'm going to give you a cheers, sir. Good luck. I hope you survive.
Cheers. I'm going to take a nice long drink before we start this one.
Me too. Okay. So,
all right, let's do it.
Are you ready? First question. Best food eaten at a Pro Tour. Go.
Steak in France.
Really? Oh.
Had a very, very nice steak there. Like a nice local sort of cook thing.
Okay. What's the weirdest thing you've eaten at a Pro Tour?
Oh my gosh, I don't eat weird food, man. I'm not brave enough.
Fair enough.
I just have a thing about food. I don't eat weird food. People try to get me to try something. I'm like, I don't know.
No, yeah, I don't blame you, man. I suffer from some stomach ailments that I don't want to share with other people. So, number 2. Okay, wave the magic MTG wand. Where would you put yourself in a MTG career if you could?
If I was doing anything besides what I'm doing?
Absolutely.
I think that I would be playing on the Pro Tour. Wow. And that's probably a real easy answer, right? But I think I would be doing that, and I think I would be the brewer of the house, right? If I could just sit around and brew up decks and experiment with everything, that would be like, that's the role I'd want if I wasn't doing what I'm doing.
Excellent. All right, question 3. Most anticipated movie for the remainder of the year?
I'm not a huge movie person, but I gotta say Star Wars, I guess. I don't even know too much else of what's coming out. I get to the Marvel movies when I can, but I will be there Star Wars for midnight, so it's got to be that.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big Mark Hamill fan, so. All right, question 4.
He might even be in the next one.
I know, right? He might be. He was supposed to be in the last one. Question 4. If you were stranded on a deserted island, pick one friend that you would be stuck with.
I'd probably my friend from home here. His friends, went to kindergarten together. Now we're the same age. We have kids. Both of our sons are about 3 months apart now. So we've been together our whole life. So I think that's who I'd have to go with.
All right. Okay. So question 5: vampires or werewolves?
Werewolves for sure.
Werewolves for sure.
# Team Jacob.
Got there.
Just kidding.
And you said you weren't a movie buff.
That was the question everyone asked for a while, right? That's all it was.
Number 6. Oh man, these are all like TV and movies. If I would have known. No. Pick your favorite TV show.
Probably Doctor Who. Game of Thrones is an easy answer, but I enjoy Doctor Who for a lot of other reasons. Mainly, it's British, so it's just very different than most of what you watch in the United States in terms of the pace and the way it plays out. But Game of Thrones obviously up there.
Perfect. And then question 7. You're going to do a Freaky Friday. For you, that's not a movie buff. That means you switch places with Mark Rosewater for the day. So in Mark Rosewater's voice, what's your first order of business?
And Mark Rosewater, huh?
Yep.
If I'm Mark Rosewater for a day, I immediately decide that we need to go to Atlantis, where we have 5 warring tribes of merfolk. 1 in each color, but then there's also 5 10 color combinations of merfolk also battling. And I think it was legions, was all creatures.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be all merfolk.
In all colors, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's merfolk everything. All of if there were instants or sorceries, they're tribal merfolk.
So
back in lore, what?
Can you do a quick pitch to Bill Rose or to Aaron Forsyth in Morrow's voice?
I refuse. I plead the 5th on this one. I plead the 5th on the basis of I like to have a job.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey, I get Ruben Bressler next week, so we'll get the Morrow imitations all
Oh, you will. He's far older than me when it comes to that.
All right. So, and your 8th and final question. So pick a director for the upcoming Development Hell Magic the Gathering movie. Also, cast 3 of the main Planeswalkers.
Ooh, okay, well, Joss Whedon is directing, and it is certainly stuck in development hell, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's see here. Let me Google famous actors. No, let's see here. So, I think that for say, Gideon, I think we could get the girl who plays Zoe Saldana, right? In Guardians of the Galaxy.
To play Gideon?
She can play Nissa, because she's basically already playing that character.
Yeah.
For Chandra, I think we get what's it? Girl from Doctor Who, but also from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Oh gosh, what's her name? The redhead who plays Amy Pond. Name's escaping me.
What is she playing in Guardians? What is she playing in Guardians?
She's the villain.
Oh, the girl that plays Nebula.
Yes.
We'll go with that.
I'm blanking on the name. And then for Jace, I think for Jace you would get somebody very brooding, right? Somebody.
Yes, of course.
Who does that very well.
Yes.
How about this? In our future, we get future Jace, right? Adult Jace, not a kid Jace or young Jace, and I think it's John Depp.
Oh.
So you can just be a eccentric, crazy Jace.
Wow.
And then that's your opening, right? And he's thinking back to when they're all younger. and then you get somebody better than that.
We get a Fear and Loathing in Dominaria.
Yeah.
So he's doing the whole Jack Sparrow hand things, but he's making spells. I like it, man. I like it. So, Corbin,
I did my best. I told you I'm not a movie guy, but I did my best.
And you hit nothing but movie landmines, so I apologize for that. But you have survived the Gauntlet of Power. So do you feel powerful?
Oh man, I feel like I survived. That's probably the best I can do.
All right, sir. So this is the opportunity to, if you'd like to spoil any upcoming projects you'd like to tell the group.
Upcoming projects. Well, I will have Mighty Miner videos out next week, every Monday, on TCG Player and on the TCG Player YouTube. I will have a Prince of Brewery episode out. Any major upcoming projects for me? I will say this. I'll tease something. It's in the works, and it's not going to be out for a long time here because I'm sort of eyeing the fall is when I start on it. But I'm going to have a series highlighting, trying to go deep into the stories of some prominent community members that you haven't heard before.
Oh.
The exact medium or place it gets published has not yet been determined, but I will say that there's a lot of people we think we know in the Magic community who are very prominent and people like a bunch, but what do we really know about? We know their Magic content, we know their history with the games, but we don't necessarily know them, and that's what I'm gonna do. That's the goal. We'll see how that's pretty. This is the future. It's the future plan, but you can point to right here as the day that I put it out there that it's going to happen.
Excellent. Hot scoop on the Hive Mind, Corbin Hosler. So, sir, I hope that this kind of did a little bit of that for you, so your fans get to know a little bit behind the cardboard and behind the podcast of the guy. Sir, please, where can the good kids find you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Twitter at chosler88, CHOSLER88. Same on YouTube, and you can have me on Facebook if you want content. The BrainStormBrewery.com podcast comes out every Friday. I have every Monday content out on TCG Player. I do a lot of coverage for Wizards of the Coast, and I have a monthly article on DailyMTG.com. So I'm all over the place, but those are the easiest ways to find me. So thank you again for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Corbin Hosler, planeswalking in from Oklahoma. Planeswalkers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Hive Mind. My name is John Dunn, and you can find me on Twitter at OrzovDunn. You can also find me on Facebook at They Said We Said Facebook group and at They Said We Said on Instagram. So, for Corbin Hosler, I'm John Dunning, and I'll see you all in the multiverse.